Y'all, I'm so irritated. I'm so irritated. As you know, like I ran from a home office down here. So I was like, okay, I have to hear every word of Brendan Paul. That's the substance mule, who I predicted was really going to bring it on home, right? I was like, okay, I got to hear it from Brendan. Child, these people done talked their way all into round circles. It wasn't nothing new. We didn't get nothing new. They just kept, it was like more documents that were these ones were more about Cassie. So the person on the stand that concluded finally was a prosecutor, not a prosecutor, sorry, an investigator. This was the same investigator that yesterday went through things that I said helped prove up the RICO, like flight receipts and hotel room receipts and how they were paid for by Diddy's corporate entities. Drop your questions. I'm going to be answering your questions. Um, Hey, Wanda. Hey, bestie. So I've been waiting on you all day. I followed on Twitter. Right. He was not here today. Well, he was there. So what they did do is they had him in between a break. Brendan Paul went up there and signed his immunity agreement. So they all had the same immunity agreement. And y'all, I'm going to tell you, if you didn't get to see my live from earlier today, it's okay. Hit that like, hit the subscribe as you come in. Some people are like, you only need to tell people once. Honey, everybody don't start watching from the beginning. Some people hop in the middle. Anyway, yes, Teeny Garagos did do a good job today. But what she kind of went to is they shared a lot of text messages related to Cassie that were very consensual. Y'all, if I hear one more conversation about look at somebody's something, something, something private, I'm going to throw up. There were multiple text messages that were submitted for those who were like on the free Diddy side that showed where Diddy was affirmatively saying to Cassie things about, oh, I don't want to get my bag wet, but here, I'm going to pull it out. He was saying, well, if you're up to it, we can do we can do a freak off tonight if you're up to it. And she would say things like, well, I'm really tired. I don't know. And he's like, well, it's okay. We don't have to do it. Right. There was stuff like that. Then it was, oh, there was this other good one though. This was more on the team. If y'all on Team Cassie, she said nothing good comes from freak offs anymore. You treat me like you're Ike Turner. She sure did. And there was also like a message exchange from Diddy where Diddy is saying, "Hey, can I set up a freak off?" And she says, "Well, but I'm ovulating." And he says, "Okay, so I can set up something with extra precautions." And she responds, "Yes, I'm so excited for you tonight." Oh, y'all. Then there was this role play text exchange, girl. Woo, they get a little freaking freaky. They are sorry, they are creative and freaky. If only I had those energy levels. I don't. I don't. You're gonna get this Burlington Coat Factory lingerie. I'm gonna do what I do, and then I'm gonna go to sleep and or take a nap. But this was a text message exchange, y'all. It's raining here at the courthouse. Woo. For those who are like, where's she at? Yes, I'm at the courthouse. There was this exchange, y'all. She was very creative. They were creative freaks. Where she decides, she says, well, here's what we're gonna do. She says, we are going to pick what characters we're going to be. Pilot, doctor, officer, professor, student. She says, we're going to pretend like we don't know each other. We're going to meet up at this hotel. We're going to meet in the lobby. Now, no cell phones because we're going to pretend like we don't know each other. Okay. She said, so we can't text each other. The safe word is going to be pineapples. Pineapples. Pineapples is like if it's for swingers. That's also what they use. So if you ever go on like a Carnival cruise or a Virgin cruise and the people got the pineapples on their door, that means you can come on in and join their party. If you know what I mean, the nasty party. Their safe word was pineapples. And she said, don't break character. Just try your best not to break character. So I don't know exactly which costumes that they have. Now, I personally, I like police officer criminal, got a little prisoner outfit in there. But I don't really know what they chose to do on that day. But that was just an example of how sometimes she too would take charge and their little freakiness. There were also messages that Cassie sent to him. There was one of March 4th where she says, I want to freak off so bad, but I don't want to mess myself up. She had something important coming up days later. Um, she did offer, she wanted to put a pussy on live. Just kidding. She wanted to sit on someone's face. She did offer that. Uh, That was Diddy. That was Diddy. That wasn't one of the hookers. Remember, when I talk about hookers in this instance, it's probably the only time in my life where I use the word hooker in reference to male prostitutes. Remember, I'm your legal bestie, Attorney Simone. Yes, I'm a real lawyer for those asking. I also have a note here. I wrote this one to Mims to make it make sense. Quote, I wish they sold wine in the cafeteria. So I was getting irritated. There was another message where no. Diddy sends to Cassie, want to freak off? She says, sure, wink. And he says, now? And she said, okay, I just need to make, um, you just need to make some like adjustments. Make a store run. She needed to make a store run. And he writes back, I'll call James the ball player. Yo, we have got to figure out who is James the ball player. Who is James the ball player? Yeah, they're stalling with Brendan. But the good news is Brendan was here today. So Brendan ain't scared. He was here. He was wearing a really nice Men in Black suit. You know, I said before I thought he looked real stinky. No, he doesn't look stinky anymore. He looks, I mean, it's not like he wasn't like cool water cologne looking, which is very reminiscent of my adolescent days. But he looked like one of those Bond number seven kind of guys. Very tall. Can juror number six speak to the public? They sure can. They sure can. Listen, juror number six, if you are out there and call me, message me. You can contact my office. Let's go ahead. It's time to start working on your book deal, boo boo. Start working. The sooner the better. We're going to get in there first. Juror number six, if you want to talk, you can talk to me too. They weren't stalling. So, what it was, they were not stalling with Brendan. But what it was is that Teeny had a lot she wanted to get into, almost redundancy. So, basically, Teeny's goal was to flush out the RICO evidence that was last on the mind of the jurors. She was trying to flush that out by changing the topic, kind of like our president does sometimes. When people are like, well, you did this. And he's like, well, Obama did such and such. Here, what Teeny was changing the topic to was all the consensual instances or instances where Cassie was a little got freaky or where Cassie coordinated activities. So she says, oh, okay, I think Byron's going to interview him, just wondering if he was able to speak. Yeah, yeah. I feel they were only doing that to humiliate her. I would agree. If Cassie wasn't coerced, does the flight, travel, and staff thing even matter? It sure does, because that still goes to number one, RICO, and it goes to the transportation for prostitution. Remember, that is a RICO charge as well. So even if Cassie was not coerced, remember, you don't need S trafficking to prove RICO. And the documentation that they did submit that shows all this other stuff, it really helps to support the let me take it off. It helps to support the prostitution charge, but also how the enterprise worked. Says whoever lasts through this trial should definitely write a book. Absolutely. I would agree. Let me see. It says, Ilias, great question. What's up with the other juror? We don't know. They actually kicked us out of the courtroom. Oh, yeah. I'm going to try to I would love to talk to juror six. They kicked us out of the courtroom. So we weren't able to hear about juror seven. But y'all, the judge was hot. He was hotter than fish grease because apparently the juror six issue was only and exclusively discussed in what's called the robing room. That's chambers. So the only people there were counsel for the defense and counsel for, I almost call it the prostitution, counsel for the prosecution. So the judge believes he was upset because he believes that one of the parties leaked the information to the public. Well, here's the tea. So the question is, what was the media source that broke the story on Juror 7? Allegedly, TMZ. TMZ. And remember, TMZ's got a little podcast going on between the owner of TMZ, Harvey, and Mark Garagos. Teeny Garagos, the defense attorney's daddy. Her pappy. Her pappy. So the question is, could Teeny, divorce attorney, the defense attorney, be telling her daddy to, or anybody else telling her daddy to, where the daddy is then leaking it to, I don't know. I'm not saying he did. I like a good conspiracy theory, y'all. What do y'all think? Who do y'all think is the leaker? It ain't one of us influencers. It's not one of us legal analysts. because we were not privy to that discussion. This is the juror number 6 issue. Do I think they have definitely proven Rico? Yes, I do. So my video yesterday, if you haven't checked it out, I do. Remember, Rico, you only need to prove 2 of the 10, and that those 2 happened within 2 years of each other. Prostitution, bribery, tampering with witnesses has been proven without question. Okay. I don't know how you get out prostitution. Feel free to put some hooker questions in here if you've got some. If you got any questions on how, or if you got any suggestions of how I could get out of being found guilty of transporting these hookers in between states. Because remember, what we saw yesterday was various flights purchased, as well as there was already been testimony. The hookers themselves took the stand and said, I was in this city and they flew me to this city and then I did it to Cassie. Mark Garrigus was already warned by the judge in the beginning. Exactly. That's why the judge is harder than fish grease. Yes, hot, hot, hot. So part of the issue with the juror, allegedly, is that the juror was speaking about the case to a coworker. To a coworker is the allegation. Remember when Diddy threatened Gunawan that TMZ would write up a story with her and Tristan? I don't know who Gunawan is. Hey, Simone. Maybe Gina. Maybe that was Gina. Did the defense make any points doing redirect? During redirect, they basically just they smeared Cassie more, showed more text messages to show that her participation was voluntary, showed more where she was coordinating, or actually more specifically where she was either coordinating a freak off or some sexy time, but also showing where Diddy was asking her, "Do you want to do a freak off?" And she would either say yes, or sometimes she'd say, "I would like to, but I'm very tired." And he respond with things like, "Well, we don't have to do it this tonight." And some nights they wouldn't do it. There was a few, like maybe I don't know, 2 or 3, where that happened. So yeah, I thought the Punisher was the only stripper that did the freak offs, and he stayed in New York, right? No, no, honey. There was Jules. There was the first week. There was a different person. Then there was a Punisher. Then there was no. There's been at least 2 hookers that have taken the stand. I'll be honest, I don't remember the other name. Do I? Oh, TriStar. Okay, let's see. So at least 2 hookers have taken the stand, but also the testimony. People act like testimony isn't evidence. You've also got the undisputed stipulated evidence. What is stipulated evidence is evidence that is collected from legal means. It could be a subpoena. In this case, it was seizing the cell phones of KK and Diddy, extracting that data, giving the defense the side a time to look through it all and object to anything. The defense has the ability to say, no, this is only part of the text message. There's a whole thing, all of that. And then whatever is admitted, what's agreed to, the judge admits. Well, that was done. And so for some of the proof of the hookers were the text message exchanges between Diddy, his accountant, KK, or Diddy and KK and Cassie, organizing, orchestrating, saying which of the hookers they wanted to come that particular day. And then they corresponded it with actual flights and room reservations. Y'all, I was so disgusted. One time, they had a little freaky night. It looked like at the Courtyard Suites. Oh, on the room, it said Cassie and Clayton Howard. Y'all figure out who Clayton Howard is. I don't have time. I'm a little busy. Clayton Howard is one of the hookers. We want to see what Clayton Howard looked like. But yeah. So it said that. So I want to tell you, someone, even if no, it's not trafficking if it's consensual. And let me clarify this. What takes out the consensualness would be the presence of coercion, force, or fraud. So, in other words, you can't consent to something you're being forced to do, which would be the force. You can't consent to something you are being coerced to do, or where you're agreeing only based on fraud. The fraud takes away the consent. Oh, we got a super chat here. Ooh, ooh. Ashley says, do I think TriStar is being investigated? TriStar and Lou Taylor are bigger fish to fry than Diddy. Do I think there will be any leniency for his insight? So, no, because they would have called him as a witness. They would have called someone from TriStar or Lou. Now, they may have their own separate case, but what I do think that will likely happen here is the government is first going to see what charges can they get to stick on Diddy. Based on what those are, then they may decide to go after Lou, TriStar, or anyone else. In other words, if they can't get Diddy, they're likely not going to be able to get Lou. And by getting Diddy, I'm not meaning on the S trafficking. I'm actually meaning on the RICO. So, for example, with KK and how they have not asked KK to be a prosecution witness. My guess is that more than likely, instead, what will happen is they're going to hope for a conviction for at least the RICO. So if they get a guilty on RICO for Diddy, then they're going to go to KK and say, look here, Miss Thing, you next. You're next, Miss Thing, so you can take a plea. You saw how much Diddy got, how much time Diddy got, whatever that number is. You can take a plea or you can take it to trial. But we gave you a chance to cooperate. You don't want to cooperate. So you just effed around and found out, Miss Thing. That would be my guess. But if, and only if, they are able to get a RICO conviction on Diddy or S trafficking. Hope that helps explain. All right, let me see. Hold on, here we go. The comments. Here we go. There's bribery also. Yes, the bribery was real easy. Bribery was, there's no consent to being bribed. No, somebody asked if there's consent. There is substance distribution. Do I think the jury is tainted? No. And Diddy is somehow manipulating the case. No, I don't think that at this point. Yes. Do we know if the defense strategy has worked? Did Teeny influence the jurors? I'm sure she has on certain counts. Absolutely. Because you can tell by their faces. Some of their faces are looking at certain facts and they're like, come on now. One of my friends talked about one of the jurors tapped another and said, she lying. She lying. About one of the women that was on the stand. I believe that was Mia when Mia took the stand. Is it normal to replace more than one juror? Look up the OJ case. They replaced 10 or something close to that. It was some crazy number. So in a trial like this, yes, it would not be unusual. Now, the defense has stated that they expect to call approximately 5 witnesses. Now, remember, defense does not have to call a single witness. That's what's meant when they say it's the prosecution's burden. Hold on, how's it? It's a little bit better. That's what's meant when they say it's the prosecution's burden. It means, hey, the prosecution prove their own case. But Diddy's going to call a DV expert that's going to take the stand and say these women weren't coerced. They loved his Diddy style. They wanted to take a ride on the Diddy train on the Tootsie Roll. Tootsie Roll. Y'all drop below. Explain to somebody below what the Tootsie Roll and thing is all about, because I'm not about to go there and get non-monetized in this video. Women on here paying. Are we thinking that the defense will call witnesses? Yes, they're going to call 5. Why is the jury not sequestered? So it is very rare. It's very rare in federal cases to sequester a jury. I'm going to look more into why that they're not, but I honestly can't think of I can't think of not one federal case where the jury's been sequestered. It's very much a state law thing. I believe that it's in part because federal law, the federal districts are very big. They usually cover about 5 different counties. So people live a lot further. And so I think that's a component of it. But the answer is I'm not sure. And I'm not going to sit up here and lie to you. I'll find out though. And that, thanks Jesse T for that super chat. These women laid with these hookers mostly, not Diddy. It doesn't matter who lays with the hookers. What matters is that it was paid for by Diddy. Diddy was running the enterprise, and it was paid for by Combs Enterprises money, by his corporate Amex card. So the moral of the story is do not use your business card to pay for hookers, okay? You're going to buy you some hookers, don't use your business card, credit card, cash app. Don't even cash app, honey. Just use cash. Diddy made her say all the mess, and of course, she will say, I hate using the term escorts because there was a time that I considered being an escort, like when I was in college and broke, because I didn't know what it was. I thought an escort, literally, I just escorted people to dinners because I really like going to Red Lobster. That was my favorite at the University of Pittsburgh. I put on my church dress, my girlfriends, and we take the city bus on down to the Monroeville Mall and we go to the Red Lobster over there. So, I responded to an ad for escorts and I didn't know I needed to give them some coochie. I wasn't giving anybody that. I was a good virgin girl. Anyway, Mia and Jane. Oh, somebody said Forrest said Mia and Jane are liars. Jane was a known industry escort for years before Diddy. She's a gold digger. Andrea said, prostitution matters when you use the business money to pay for it. Yeah, that's what wraps it up in the RICO. Oh, there was another really good question. People have been asking the drug distribution, but how did it show that it wasn't simply for personal use? Now, you are right. If it was just for personal use, it's not for RICO. The issue is they're using accountants. They're using the business accountants to pay it. He's approving invoices, petty cash, etc. And more than that, the question becomes, all right, if it's personal, then that should be just his use. No, no, no. He's having get-togethers, he's having parties, he's sharing it with the hookers, he's sharing it with other people. That's what creates the distribution. You do not have to sell it. You just have to give it to other people. That's what creates the distribution. Me actually testified. Burning Man. Hold on, let's see. Cassie, put on people's face. I wrote a note. Cassie's trying to put her pussy on live. She's trying to put her private on people's faces. Um, Asking if he was excited about that, and apparently yes. Oh, I also wrote a note. No stinky lady today. There's a real stinky lady in the courtroom frequently. She's very pro Diddy, and she's really stinky, but she didn't come today, and I was very glad because usually the left side of the room smells like urine, and I was able to breathe today. Um, let me see. Probably a hobo. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, the hobos really love this case because they don't have anything to do. They just be up real early in the morning. They're already just finding a place to sit, so they just go sit over here, and it gives them people to talk to. Also, what happens is a lot of the hobos, they're unhoused, unhoused people. They will be line sitters for others, right? Who pay them since they're already not doing anything, right? They're going to pay them. They'll be a line sitter. And then after they get their person in, they just go into, try to go into the overflow room. Ooh, what's going on with this hair? Go into the overflow room. Anyway, what did the mule say? Mule has not taken a stand. The mule's going to start tomorrow. They just kept going on and on and on about with these little text messages between Diddy and Cassie that were showing levels of consent. So basically, what Teeny Garagos ended on today was evidence of consent, basically implying, hey guys, this was consensual. Don't get it twisted. All right. Free Diddy. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, guys. Simone, do I have a line sitter? No, actually, I don't. I had one like the first week, and I don't care that much. I go into one of the other courtrooms. I have a way to get in the other courtroom, so I don't care because they changed the rules. And with line sitters, you got to be there. Even if you have a line sitter, you got to be there at 6:30 in the morning. They don't get going until 9. I got a real job. I got to pay my bills. I'm really trying not to sell any coochie. But if I have to do things like get up that early in the morning and not get any sleep, I'm gonna be selling it. I'm gonna be selling it, guys. So go ahead and hit that cash app if you'd like, or um, some other people to hire. Oh yeah, hire me. Well, here's the thing. I do primarily civil cases, so serious injuries, auto accidents. You've been hit by an Uber, Lyft, 18 wheeler. You can contact SimoneRedwine.com, and I will be happy to give you a free consultation and help you guys. No, ma'am, you didn't see it? No. Yeah. Locked it up forever. Free puff. Some people want him to be free, and somebody said, sell that cat. Well, I'm not going to get as much as Jane. I know that. I ain't getting no 10,000 a month, but I will try. Woo! I'm definitely going to have to become more flexible. At this point, they're gonna be giving me coupons. Anyway, guys, love you guys. I gotta go. I actually have a deposition prep call that I gotta do in about 10 more minutes. Drop your questions below. I'm your legal bestie, Attorney Simone, and this is Girl, Is That Legal on YouTube.